Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. As far as MMOs go, it's pretty good. While it does fall into the usual MMO sinkholes like an overabundance of kill a specific amount of monsters in a particular area missions, it still enjoys its own identity. It has its own unique functions like the fate events and guild leaves, if that's how you pronounce it. It has a great art style and the story is, well, Final Fantasy. However, in order to get to this level of quality, this game had to do something drastic. When Final Fantasy XIV first launched, this game was universally panned by critics. With the interface complexity, sheer amount of glitches, broken structure, the game seemed almost unfinished. And any seasoned MMO player can tell you, when an MMO launches this poorly, that's pretty much a death sentence. First impressions are everything with this genre. Even though MMOs are intended to have a really long lifespan with the staff continuously supporting it, everyone is going to be looking at those initial review scores. It doesn't matter if it improves or not. Those bad grades will be a black mark that follows it for its entire life. No matter how much work they put into it, they will still likely lose a lot of money in the long run and it won't be a worthwhile investment. So, Square Enix did the only thing they could do. Announced the termination of the whole game. In the last moments of its life cycle, Final Fantasy XIV introduced a quest storyline where one of the moons was slowly heading towards the Earth. No matter what the characters did, even your chosen hero main character, the moon kept heading towards the Earth. In real life, Square Enix said this was the last quest before the game would be taken offline. Because of that, everyone logged on to be there when it did. What follows is players just sitting out in the open, looking at the moon, and waiting for the end to come. All the while people are waiting, they are being serenaded by a haunting woman's voice. People know the world is going to end, and all that's left to do is just watch. Unlike Majora's Mask, where all of these feelings were implied and Link could rewind time to escape the disaster, here, real players actually experience the last moments before the end of the world. Even though the looming threat of death is right above their heads, there's no panic. There's no sadness. Just people coming together in quiet acceptance of the end of the world. Once the countdown is finished, we see what Square Enix does best. Cutscenes. Honestly, this whole thing is beautiful. Besides being technically impressive, the amount of effort they put into the smallest details astounds me. So much detail that we see unique protagonist-looking characters only get a second of screen time before they get axed off. The solemn expressions on everyone's faces as the end gets closer and closer really reinforces the mood. Then the chorus kicks in and literally all hell breaks loose. The moon turned out to be a prison containing Primal Bahamut who decides to destroy everything. And it is beautiful. When I first saw this, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The game was about to go off the air. What kind of game company would put this much effort into setting their game on fire? You'd expect something like this from an upcoming expansion, not a shutdown. Even though Deathwing beat Final Fantasy to the punch of remake the world by dropping a dragon into it, they were just remaking the basic zones. This is obliterating the entire game and starting over. I love how Square Enix basically says, well, we blew it. But the show must go on. We're not going to just kill it, we're going to kill it and have it be the most amazing thing anyone ever sees. Some people at Square Enix really have a good ability to understand and work an audience, which I really have to admire. The music that plays is incredible as well. Not only is the tone of the song perfectly matched and the tune perfectly synchronized to the action, the lyrics really sell the entire feel of the scene. And now to what actually happens. After Bahamut makes a crater out of the entire country, a giant super god weapon is summoned. I don't care how it works. It's magic, it's Final Fantasy, and it's f***ing pretty. You don't need to explain this. And the funny thing is, you'd expect something this flashy to work, but in a surprising subversion, it doesn't. What really hits you hard is seeing the complete emptiness on everyone's faces. Their trump card was just outplayed, and they have now lost all hope, and now all they can do is wait for death. But they didn't die. The wizard put the heroes into... Shut up! You're ruining the moment! As much flack as I've given Square Enix in the past, I really have to look at this moment and say this was the classiest and most graceful way to bow out of a bad performance. They didn't just kill their game, they killed their game and made it look amazing. Square Enix believed the show must go on, and in doing so, they created one of the greatest moments ever to be put in a video game. This is like the video game equivalent of witnessing the moon landing. How much would you have paid just to be there when it happened, experiencing the slow, somber moments of the looming threat of death overhead, before witnessing the beautiful destruction of a beautiful world? I certainly would have. In fact, the only reason I didn't put this into a countdown of some sort was because there was just too much to talk about concerning this. I'm the Fiery Joker, and Square Enix has given us the best example of ending with a